there's a woman that runs essentially a healthcare type operation where she represents clients that are HIV positive and have AIDS and all kinds of legal issues, a lot to do with end-of-life issues. And it's a real kind of down-to-earth, boots-on-the-ground place. Most of the work is client intake. It's very interactive with the clients, and it's a great place to be. My junior mentor, as assigned by the school, had done some pro bono work with Quinn too, who was the consumer law attorney at the Public Law Center. And I knew for the summer I wanted to do something related to legal aid, something kind of really down to earth and boots on the ground. And through that connection, I had a couple phone conversations with Quinn, and actually went to the office one day for an afternoon and shadowed her, went to their client intake meeting and just sort of hung out and read some of the pleadings on cases she was working on. And then after that, I was offered a job. So that was really the only interview I did, and I did it really early. I think I had it lined up in, I don't know, mid-January or February. So it was really the first thing I went after, and I was lucky enough to get it. So it worked out that none of the cases in the consumer law unit were in litigation. I mean, they were either really at the front end of just fact investigation or following up with the pro bono volunteer attorneys that were handling cases. So most of what I did was writing essentially the fact portion of a memo, very little legal research, a lot of intake interviews, going to the clinics they have throughout the community for people to essentially just come in and explain what their legal issue is, and the public law center will determine how to deal with it, whether it's to send it to an outside attorney, whether to handle it in-house or give some kind of quick advice. I mean, there was a fair amount of really short legal research, something you might look at for a couple of hours and put into an email, and just a real discrete issue. So I found that really refreshing after the first year of school to not be really wading through a bunch of appellate opinions. And personally, I thought it was really nice to be interacting with people. Another thing is, it was nice is if you wanted to work on something that wasn't, like for me, consumer law, the other attorneys were more than willing to take your help. So you were definitely not shoehorned in anything. So it was pretty varied. I'd say, a lot of community interaction. One thing we did was, we did a senior scam stoppers workshop. It was with the FBI and the Garden Grove Police, and we had essentially a PowerPoint explaining from a legal perspective what you can do if you've been a victim of one of these scams. So it's really varied, I guess, is the best answer. I'd say just being comfortable with just whoever happens to be in the room, whether they be lawyers or non-lawyers, especially maybe learning to explain legal theories to people that aren't lawyers in pretty simple terms, and break things down into digestible steps, especially for one of the clients we had, many of whom had no concept of what the sequence would be. Some of them had a pretty good understanding of the law, but procedure was something that, it's still kind of vague to me in a lot of ways, but I was really explaining what would happen in a step-by-step, really sequential manner. I'd say being able to do quick legal research. I didn't do very much really extensive legal research, but being able to come up with, pretty good answers, even if they were somehow qualified answers to a question if we needed something quick. I would say that probably client interviewing would be the biggest thing. And a lot of the cases I worked on had to do with debtors. We represented debtors in creditor lawsuits, helping people decide whether to file bankruptcy. I didn't do any bankruptcy petitions myself. There were two women that really specialized in that. And really being able to kind of press people to give all their financial information, because it's just necessary legally to understand where they stand and what their legal defenses may be in a creditor lawsuit. And being really assertive and persistent with someone without really running them over and making it seem like you don't trust them and you don't want to listen to them. I thought that was actually pretty difficult, and a lot of it was just learning how to establish trust someone so that they would answer the hard questions, and really that they would understand it really was in their benefit, and that the confidentiality. And a lot of people seem to be a little wary of confidentiality until you really explain it to them several times. So that was the biggest